Hello everyone. This is our interview with Vipul Kedia. He was the founder of Felicity and even started many organizations like Student Parliament, etc. He's an active member of the Student Alumni Association, and we had the immense privilege of interviewing him for Felicity 2025. Please enjoy. The time off and contributing to this call, this like small initiative
Not at
doing
all.
for Felicity. Like it's
Not at
very
all.
nice
Not
to
at
have
all.
you on here. And like from all the alumni articles we've read, like the articles which like Triple IT's done with Alumni Association, it's very inspiring to talk to someone who's very involved with college still, and like we hope to like continue that trend also. Anyways, like so we have a set of
That
questions. We will shoot them forward. I hope to
sure,
keep this
sure.
a little bit informal, of course.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. Please feel free. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll start with the first question, sir. Um, like as I already mentioned, and as like I've read from articles and heard from people in the college itself that you have been very involved with the college, and like even in your time here, you were very involved with like student parliament, Felicity, etc. And now you're very involved with like the alumni association and like alumni network. And like, so what drives you to be so involved with the college? And like back then and even now, what is the drive? What is the motivation for all this?
I think more than anything, it's the feeling of belonging because when we joined Triple IT, one thing you all have to imagine because it's difficult for you to understand is that we had taken a huge amount of risk because at that time Triple IT did not have a deemed university status. So we had taken a risk of joining an institute which was just coming up without even basic infrastructure, without faculty, without even the certainty whether we will get a degree at the end of our graduation or will it just be a diploma, in which case our career would have gone for a toss because we would not have been able to pursue any further education. So when
Right.
you are stakeholders in a venture, I mean, to give you a startup analogy, you automatically do a lot of things which uh, in a normal scenario people would not do because you are equal participants in making sure that the venture becomes successful. The second factor which I think played a role during the student life was that there wasn't, like, for our entire first year there was no faculty on campus. They were just visiting faculty borrowed from here and there. There were a few faculty members who continued uh, for long, like Professor Kaul, Professor Govind Rajulu, etc. But none of them were staying on campus that time. So when you are left independent and when you know that you have to do everything that's supposed to be done and there is nobody who is really, going to do stuff. So automatically a lot of initiatives comes on. And then the third factor was that when you start growing with the venture, when you start growing with the institute, there is that sense of belonging. And everybody else who joins along the way, like all the faculty which you see today, most of the senior faculty joined towards the end of our second year. So Professor PJ and Professor Jawahar, Professor Kamal, Professor Jayanti, Professor Vasu, all of them joined during our second year, third year, etc. So when they came in, it was as if we were welcoming them to the institute, and they continued to make us feel as equal stakeholders because even they were trying to find their feet and getting settled into the institute. And it was us, the students at that time, who had to play that role of helping them settle in and also play stakeholders to defining what Triple IT was going on to be and set in place many things like Felicity itself or the student parliament or our first placements and so on. So when you are involved with something from such an early stage, automatically you have that sense of belonging and that sense of ownership, and that is what drives you till the time you are, like we were students and then we were alumni, because whatever you start at the age of 18, 19, you always have a certain fondness for it and a certain want for it to succeed. And when you want something to do well and you see a scope to contribute to that, you continue doing that. And I think that is what it is personally for me and many of the other early batch alumni.
Hmm. I mean, that is actually wonderful. I mean, I can't imagine being like someone of like 18 when I was 18 and like, seeing a situation and saying like, I'm going to build this up. And I think that kind of initiative taking is honestly very commendable. And it's like attests to the standard of the college even now, because even though now we have like very good relations with our professors, they're like open to
Yep.
communicate, etc. And I think that culture definitely comes from like that time when you all built it for us, basically. And like one question, which is like a follow up similar to this question, is how do you manage your time with like curriculum, with extracurriculars, with communication
I
with
think
profs, all of it?
I personally always believe that time is expandable. Whatever you want to do, you will always do, and obviously you balance and you also uh, decide how much time to devote to what here and there. So, like as far as I was personally concerned, a lot of other students were devoting a lot of time to coding, to learning, different technical skills, etc. Obviously, that part personally for me did not, I did not do as much as what some of the others were doing because I was trying to build a lot of other things and devoting a lot of time on the extracurriculars and so on. But honestly, I mean, time management and all of those things, those were not terms which were possibly coined 25 years back, and nobody used to think of it that way. It was keep you have to do something, so you have to do it. I mean, if you have to stay up all night to plan something and execute it, you would do it. And even,
Right.
initially the professors were also very accommodating. Like I remember that, telling somebody that I can't attend your class because I have to plan something for Felicity or plan something for placements was a valid excuse. I mean, professors would allow you to do that because they knew that some of these things were important at that stage because those were also equally important for the foundations of the institute, and we were doing things very sincerely and in a very committed manner. So both factors. So I cannot give any secret sauce or anything. It was just when you are passionate and when you are happy doing something, then you never feel that sense of time or you never feel that stress or strain of doing going the extra mile. So I think that's what it was.
That is very nice. I mean, like, I do see it also with people who continue on college culture. You see a lot of like, a lot of what it takes is passion rather than, it's like going away from the grain itself and like doing something you care
Exactly.
for
I think
and like
it is
building
all
your own.
about passion, and I think nothing more. Passion is what drives it, and if you're passionate about something, I think all of us for different things we lose the sense of time and we lose the sense of effort when you're doing something which you really love and you really associate yourself with.
Yeah, that's honestly pretty beautiful. The next question is more related to Felicity itself because like this entire interview is for Felicity, and like considering that it's like the 25th year of it running, we wanted to like see like what made you want to start Felicity, what made you want to start the culture of having a fest, what was the initial idea, and like what did you envision your fest to look like at the time?
So see, it was honestly just a thought because for a couple of years before we started Felicity in 2001, so in 2000 and in uh, I mean, I wouldn't say 99, but in 2000 primarily and in earlier 2001, we used to have some inter-college, not inter-college, intra-college, inter-house activities. And we always had a place marker in the almanac for the cultural fest. It was just called the cultural fest or some similar term. And it just struck us that why not expand it? So I had that thought, and I spoke to a few others in my batch and my senior and junior batches that let's do an inter-college festival. Let's expand our horizons because we obviously knew about all the IIT festivals and all the local Hyderabad festivals, which used to happen in other institutions and universities. So it was a thought, and then we obviously didn't know anything. We were cut off at that time from the external world because we are still talking a time when there was Indranagar used to be a hamlet. There was no ISB. There was no that entire road which you had besides Triple IT. That was all a jungle, and beyond Triple IT was also a jungle. So from after Triple IT, there was Hyderabad University, and Gachibowli was practically non-existent. So it used to be just a few small shops in Indranagar, like a small village. So you were literally cut off from the external world. You did not really know what was happening. So we did a lot of things like create some basic brochures on Word doc, printed some basic stuff. Some of the students that time were from local junior colleges, so they went around doing publicity. So it was more like, just being ambitious, and thinking of doing something out of the box, and then just planning it along the way, and thinking, oh, how do we get the money? Oh, how do we get some cultural performances? How do we divide ourselves into teams? Who takes care of the cultural events? Who takes care of some of the tech events? Who takes care of entertainment, sponsorships, event planning, execution, all of that. So just a a few dozen of excited students coming together and getting the blessings of the faculty, and then setting on to our own journey. So we went to one of the faculty members who used to teach us English at that time, Professor Sudhakar Marathe, and I was on very good terms with them. So I said, we are doing a festival. What do we call it? So can you suggest a name? So he came up with the name Felicity, and he sent me an entire email with the explanation of what Felicity should be about, and the fact that it is relating back to the society and not just a blatant celebration of fun, but also a socially aware celebration, and that he set the right name and he set the right messaging to go with it. And yeah, that is how it started. So just enthusiasm, just initiative, and just the want to create a mark and to create something which becomes the focal point of the student life in the institute.
Could you expand more on what like the professors and your own vision on Felicity was like? And you mean socially aware? What do you mean by that? What is the like
So see,
driving initiative behind that?
so one thing at that point in time, most of the college festivals were all about very loud bands and very loud music and having a lot of fun. There were obviously talks of people getting drunk and things like that. So it was more like party fun time in the name of cultural festivals. So how it was different was like Felicity, the inauguration was a classical dance and Kuchipudi dance by Padma Shri Dr. Shobha Naidu. Then we had some of the more cultural performances, etc., happening, more Indian classical performances happening. There was, instead of a regular DJ night and so on, there was a Dandiya night which we did. Then the third night, obviously, we had a band which performed. We also had, involvement from all parts of the institute. So, right from the staff to the faculty to the students and to everyone. The main message which Professor Marathe wanted to send out with the name was that it is not just a celebration of fun and privilege, but the fact that uh, these are a bunch of students who are aware of the larger society around them, and they want to celebrate and have fun, but at the same time not do it in a garish and a ostentatious kind of a manner. So it's a sensible festival, well grounded, where the students are themselves taking initiatives and planning and executing a lot of the events, and not just taking sponsorship money and spending it all around. So the budget of the first Felicity was hardly around 4 to 5 lakhs, where each student put in 500 rupees. The institute also put in an equal amount of money, and we got some small sponsorships like a lakh or something, plus some money from the stalls. So it was something which was done in a when you are yourself contributing money to the festival, then it becomes a co-owned kind of initiative, and that is where some amount of social awareness also comes, because when you're putting in the money, you will not waste the money, you will realize the worth of the money. So
Hmm.
some of those things are what set Felicity apart. And it wasn't just party and fun, but it was a festival for the entire community, including the staff, faculty, and the students.
It seems to be like Felicity at the time, and even now to some extent, is like a very collective fest within IIIT. And I mean, now it's also still IIIT is a small college. I assume that it was smaller, and like since it's small, we get a lot of people to be involved. It's very community driven. And like, could you elaborate more on the community drivenness of Felicity itself? Like, how did you pitch your idea to other people? How did you pitch? Like, how collaborative were the professors? How involved were they? Did they perform? Example, like those are some questions which are floating around my head right now. Like,
Well, you know, uh, The faculty was very involved. I'm just actually uh, pulling out Dr. Sudhakar's email. Do you have a chat window here? I'll just paste the email that he had sent me, giving his sense of what Felicity should be.
Oh,
So you
okay.
can copy it. You can copy it from the chat window.
Yeah.
So this was the
Thank you.
email he sent me with the suggestion of the name. Uh, and the way it was, the way faculty was involved was because it was co-owned. Because when we went and spoke to them that we are planning to do something, we need budget, we need, support. Faculty was wholeheartedly, willing to do that. And they gave us everything that we needed. They gave us the budget. They gave us the flexibility to work for it. They were fully involved in terms of giving us the connections, helping us connect with the other institutes, getting some of the performers, and most importantly, I think being our backers, because it wasn't that faculty was inhibiting in any manner. Faculty was always there to support, and even if we wanted them at midnight for something, they were always available to co-own, to plan, to discuss our ideas, to help us refine what we wanted to do, and so on. So, uh, so it wasn't really a pitching or anything. It was more in terms of, just sharing the idea and everybody wholeheartedly accepting the idea, because I think it was, something which was waiting to happen. And I remember Professor Shivaswamy, Jayanti Shivaswamy, who used to be our SLC chair at that time. After Felicity sent that email, I mean, before Felicity also, she sent an email saying that the faculty is wholeheartedly supporting it, and the students are also contributing, the institute is also contributing. And after Felicity also, she sent an email saying that this was like the coming of age of the student community, where people could come together. There were almost 70, 80 of them, 70, 80 of us working together to make it happen. And last day of Felicity, actually, with the permission of Professor Jayanti, we actually designed T-shirts for everybody, for the entire set 70, 80 team members who were involved in planning and executing Felicity. And as a surprise, nobody else knew it except for me and Professor Jayanti. Uh, and it was a simple T-shirt with Felicity, and then I made it happen. So that was really a proud moment for everybody to wear that T-shirt and to go around and feel that they have created something special together, having that sense of ownership. And I think that is how the community came together, and that is how it paved the way for almost all the other cultural events that we did following that.
Right. Wow. That seems like when you say 70, 80 people, that is like I just realized the scale of the events back then, and it seems to be like I mean we still have that culture, and it like came from your time. So I think I'm grateful for it, and I can't imagine the like level of happiness that would be like present during that, especially when you
Yeah, it
surprise
was a
everyone
very
with t-shirt.
different feeling, and I think it was also a function. I would say that in today's time, it is very difficult for it to happen, because you have to
Hmm.
also imagine the time when there are no cell phones, there is no laptop anybody has, there is no internet, open internet, it is all wired internet. So I think a lot of it was also a function of the time, because you really did not have much to do. I mean, what do you do sitting on campus? So you plan things, you execute things, you come together, you do something. I mean, unlike today, where you have the option of just sitting in your room and, watching content or interacting with your friends or whatever online. So when you are in an offline world, that has inherent advantages, because everybody is really uh, thinking more, talking more, interacting more, spending more time together, and that is where collaborative initiatives can come through. In today's time, I don't think it is very possible, because most of the students will be involved in themselves with on the internet with their laptops and mobile phones.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, okay, like apart from the T-shirt distribution thing, I just wanted to ask, like, is there any like special memory that stands out in Felicity? Was there like a moment you realized that, wow, I built this, I helped executing this, apart from the T-shirt distribution?
See, I think, when you look at things in hindsight, they are always more glamorous and so on. But Honestly, at that point in time, you have to imagine we planned it in 3 weeks, and every night we were
Oh,
connecting. And from the day of initiation to execution, we just had 3 weeks. So it was just realizing what needs to be done, thinking what needs to be done, and going and doing it. And then every night coming together, sitting in CR5 at that time, and you know, discussing who has done what in the entire day, what have been the learnings, what have been the accomplishments, what is it that we need to accomplish on the following day. So you didn't really have time to think, and you didn't really even like, I obviously had a vision of what we should do, but there were no benchmarks. So you were setting benchmarks as you went along. And even during the day, so Felicity, all 3 nights it rained. And it was, the
oh,
first experience of crisis management, because, the dandiya became a rain dandiya, and the band performance became, all messy with the, muck in the fields and so on. So you were just doing things, and you really did not have any time to sit back and think about what has happened or what you accomplished. It is only on hindsight, and when you look back at it after all these years, that is when you realize that why was it special? Or why was it what happened was special? Because at that point in time, we did not even possibly know that it was anything special. For all it mattered, I mean, it seemed to us that everybody else is doing it, and we so should be doing it. I mean, we did not really see ourselves as being the founders of something, or, starting something. It was just done for fun, enjoyment, for the enrichment of our own lives. And when you look back today, obviously you feel very proud that 25 years have passed on and the tradition has lived on. And now you can feel that, we were the founders, and, I initiated this and that. But at that point in time, I mean, we are young kids, and you're just living today. You're not really thinking what you're doing for the future.
mhm. I mean, like as a follow up to that, like I don't know if you've been following how Felicity's been progressing through the years, and like my question to you is like, what do you want to see in the future of Felicity, or like even Felicity upcoming? It's coming in February. So, what would you like to see in the fest again, or like something new? And have you
See,
attended
it's
any of the
not
previous
about
Felicities?
no, I haven't been able to attend any Felicity since I passed out, and I would love to
Oh,
do that. But I think the most important aim of Felicity was to bring the student community together. And one thing which causes me a lot of pain, which I hear from faculty and a lot of, the Felicity teams and the alumni SAC teams, is that most of the people do not attend Felicity, or a lot of people do not attend Felicity. They go out as groups to, Goa or some other place for holidays and celebration. And I think it's a big miss. I mean, I feel really sad, because I mean, you are talking to me today because we did something 25 years back. You would not be talking to me today, or did you do a trip to Goa 25 years back, and how much of fun did you have with your friends? So you do not realize, how many things these experiences teach you. They are the first exposure that anybody has to team building, to organization, to collaboration, to coming together to execute a task, problem solving, uncertainties, planning, execution, budgeting, finance. There are so many nuances to it. And when you are tackling a complex problem together as a large group of 70 or 80, you do not have these opportunities in your work life. You do not ever have these opportunities once you graduate. And if you miss out on those experiences, then you're really missing out on an important part of being a student and an important part of learning. So I'm not Felicity is not about, some particular event or some particular, like you do, a drama competition versus a art competition versus which band you're calling or what you're doing. It is finally, what Professor Jayanti put very aptly in one line, that it is the coming of age of the student community. It is, students collectively realizing what they can achieve and what they can do if they work together. The power of teamwork, the power of collaboration, the power of camaraderie. I mean, I am today connected across so many batches, so many, all pretty much every batch I'm connected to someone or the other. And first 5, 6 batches, everybody knows me even after I graduated. And the reason for that is because we did something together. We built something together, we executed something together, and those are the relationships which carry. And that is the only thing which I hope Felicity keeps on accomplishing, that it allows people to come together for a large, initiative which nobody individually can do, or nobody will get the opportunity to do once they graduate from college. And it helps build the student community, it helps build the student body, and it helps people gain these valuable experiences which will hopefully help them much, much beyond just the technical skills that they gain in the institute once they graduate.
Right, right. Well, I think that's all the questions I have, but there's a lot of food for thought I got from like this interview. Thank you so much for giving this interview. So that's it for our interview with Vipul Kedia. I hope you all found it as insightful as we did.